Welcome to the Vinyl Collective, your weekly journal on the hip hop and R&B landscape. I'm your host, John.
And I'm your co-host, Topper. Welcome back. How you doing, John?
I'm doing good. Yeah, we're on episode 22.
Mm-hmm.
We're into those 20s now.
Yeah.
It's we've had, I feel like we're on a bit of a roll. We've had some really interesting episodes recently.
Yeah, for sure.
Last week, talking about Mr. K. Dot.
Yeah.
I was actually interesting that happened last week because then a couple of days ago, someone sent me. I'm not going to name them. We both know the person. Someone sent me a music leak from, I think it was a while ago. It was some kind of Kendrick Lamar song.
Okay.
Do you remember the one? It was Shaolin.
No, actually.
And I'm just so against listening to leaks.
Same.
I really dislike it.
Same.
But I did listen.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't that impressed.
Okay.
But there we go. Yeah, You're in the same mindset. You don't like to...
100%. I don't like the idea of leaks. And that's not because... I hate listening to music where it's not... Where I don't believe it's the way the artist intended.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that's post-hummus, whatever... or
posthumous.
Posthumous.
Post-hummus.
You know me, I'm not literate, mate. But anything that's after someone's dead or anything that's leaked, I'm like, oh, that doesn't really count then, because this is not how you would do it. But then, given we're in the world of, I don't know, I feel like sometimes you have to do things in an unorthodox way for it to blow. So I can leak it on purpose, in a sense, and that's gonna make it blow. Because obviously Drake, as rich as he is, I'm pretty sure his hard drive has like 3 passwords to it. So for that What's Next song to leak like a couple weeks before the Scary Hours EP, it's like kind of feels fit. Kind of like he was kind of testing the streets.
It's a bit suspect.
Yeah, like I feel like sometimes it's done as like a little test stuff to see, okay, do they like it or not, and then they'll drop the whole thing as like, pretend it was a leak the whole time. But then I'll just wait for that then, right? So instead of like listen to the leaks. Or like
100%.
Or any sort of like weird compilations on YouTube or stuff like that. And people do that for like, MF Doom quite a bit, where they'll just put like mad something and just put them together.
Yeah, there was one, I'm not gonna lie, I did listen to one of them, but it was because it was an Alchemist video, and he kind of was like playing this unreleased song that I think him and Action Bronson and MF Doom had together. And I was like, oh, these guys just work so well together on that track.
No, there's some that are cool. There's some that are cool.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm not gonna take too much stock in it. I think there's one with Sade and Mad MF Doom. It's called Sade Villain. Really fucking good.
Is it?
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like, it's just a cool concept. I never think, I don't think anything about the artist. I think more so about the person who puts it together, right? That just is what it is, man. And speaking of leaks, so obviously Drake dropped his Scary Hours.
Let's talk about it. Come on.
So,
Scary Hours 2.
What are your thoughts on this?
I feel, I mean, you know how I feel about Drake over the last half decade. I mean, it was nothing new. I know people who know that, and I think even fans realize that as well. But because they enjoy this recipe, then they're like, I will have the same meal every week, every day of the year, and I don't care. So in that sense, I'm not surprised. I didn't enjoy it a great deal. I know people really seem to enjoy the Lemon Pepper freestyle with Rick Ross. Did you like that one?
You know what it is? At this point, I'm just a bit jaded to Drake monologues, because he always does it. And obviously people say him and... This is what I don't get, right? People say him and Rick Ross, right, are the perfect combination. They do the same shit. Album of it.
Yeah. I don't want a whole album of that.
It's because they literally do the same shit more time than not. Drake will kind of get on his reflective shit. He's done it on Stay Scheming. He's done it on Gold Roses. He's done it on Lemon Pepper. Like, he does the same shit. And Rick Ross will come in either at the start, end, and drop something that's probably just not related to what Drake says. And because they both have nice rapping voices, you just think, oh my gosh, killer combination. Like, Rick Ross works with most people, for being honest. So it's like, I think with that one, I think if it was the first time I heard a song like that from both of them, I'd be like, oh, this is actually really cool. And it's not a bad song, but it's just like, they've got like 5-6 songs that are in the same breath. And I think that's the thing with Drake. It's not that he's dropping bad songs. He's just dropping the same songs. That's the thing.
And I mean, when people, because it always happens whenever Drake drops music, people get into the whole like GOAT debate because they take it so personally. When people like you, people like me say it's trash. But you can't have an artist. You can't consider an artist to be the greatest of all time of a genre if they just give you the same again and again and again. They've got to evolve in a certain way. Their album has got... Go on.
I mean, the Big Mac has been the same for how long? The Big Mac is always going to be solid after a night out, isn't it? So, maybe...
We're talking music, Thomas, go on. Don't confuse things.
But it's true, right? Like, it's true. Like, sometimes it's like people don't want to... we both know as you get older, it's kind of harder to kind of put yourself out there to listen to new music. So people don't want to waste time listening to like a song like started from the bottom and be like, oh, what the fuck is this? Like, do I like this? Do I not? Like, people don't want to waste their time like that. They're just like, okay, cool, new Drake. I want what I want. I want what I wanted before. I can put it in the playlist. I know I'm gonna like it. That's literally how people are these days. It's like we are the vast minority, John. We are. We're a dying breed. I'm sorry to say. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, but it also signals that the album is just being delayed even more. The fact that he's dropped an EP right now, like, come on.
Yeah,
I know Certified Mother's Boy, which we've dubbed the new album. Yeah. I don't have high hopes for it.
Yeah, I mean,
less so now that's been dropped.
Yeah, and I think the fact that it was meant to come out in January and it's not coming out till like summer now. Like, fucking hell, like that's a massive delay for something that you said was done, but your leg was hurt, so it couldn't come out. But this came out.
Grazed his knee, didn't he?
Yeah, and he's doing some sort of promo for this one. He seems to be out on planes and stuff like that. So it's like I'm not really sure. Or I think it was just a little like not a lie, but like a little like fib to be like, okay, you know what? I just want to wait until the tours come back, because he probably got words from like maybe his advisor like, oh, things are looking good for the summer. So it's like, fuck it, I'm not dropping in January then.
It's toxic. I've said before, I'll say again. Yeah. Toxic relationship between Drake and his fans. Yeah. Because whatever he does, you'll love it. However, whatever measly portion he serves you, you'll be like, this is the best shit ever. And it's not.
It literally isn't. I mean, speaking of good things, we have the first couple songs. I know a lot of people didn't listen to the intro, but the first couple songs from Silk Sonic, consisting of Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. So I am a big fan of this. I'm a big fan. Like I said,
we kind of had our expectations last week. What was it that you had said about?
I said it has to be competing for album of the year, or it's a disappointment, and it's just 2 songs, just the intro, but that intro is fucking fire as
intro is nice.
Yeah, that intro is like only like a minute, but that intro is nice. And obviously, Leave the Door Open's a banger as well, so it's looking like it's shaping up to be something special. So I've really loved their interview, their like press run during this time as well.
Really They're funny. Too cool. Yeah, honestly, it's like a duo. They're just like, I'd love to like watch them hang out.
You can just tell.
It just seems like they have the best time ever.
Yeah, literally, like it just reminds, like if that TV show Entourage was still around, it just feels like they should be on it, and you just follow them around, like you can just imagine what these guys will get up to in a weekend in Vegas. Like they just give off that vibe, isn't it? Like everything's just done. Like
Anderson's just such like a cheeky guy as well.
Yeah,
he's just got that little cheeky smile. You're like, yeah, he enjoys life.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think of them?
I really like the song. I think there was less Anderson on it than I thought there would be. It definitely felt like a Bruno Mars song with Anderson .Paak in there.
Yep, I agree. Yeah,
but I loved it. I still liked it. So it'll be interesting to see where the next couple of songs go. I definitely like to see Anderson like kind of take over it.
Yeah, I think
in the grand scheme of things, like Bruno's obviously the bigger artist, right?
Yeah,
like
significantly.
Yeah. So
no, I get what you mean. Like I mean, the song reminds me a lot of That's What I Like from 24 Karat Magic, because Anderson uses that same flow. If you go back and listen to it, so I was like, he's kind of going into his world, and that doesn't surprise me one bit, because just the vibe I get from Bruno. It's not that he's an arsehole, but he seems very, 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 very headstrong in what he wants to do, and obviously he is the bigger artist. So I'm not gonna not that he has the final say, but it's like. Even Anderson .Paak, right? Even he can't just be like, "Fuck you, Bruno. I'm doing this." Like he can't do that. You know what I mean, like that's me. And even though he's like a really good artist in his own right, like it's still Bruno Mars. So I think that's maybe why I think a lot of this album will sound more Bruno than Anderson. I mean, that's just the words, but I don't think it's gonna sound bad. I don't think Anderson slotting into Bruno's world makes for a bad album. It definitely does. It definitely reduces the landscape or the soundscape, because obviously you got that Malibu sound that Anderson has, or Oxnard. It can go that way, and I think Bruno, could work really well on that. I just don't think it's gonna happen, man. I think he's way too precise in what he wants. Like, the guy has dropped like a 9-track record. And the last one's a 10-track record. Like, this guy, he's very, you know what I mean? He's very precise. So I just don't think it's going to happen. I think this record will be like 10 tracks max.
Yeah, I think so. I think they'll probably release like a couple more singles over the next month or so, and then, you know, have they got a release date for the album?
Nope. I think they probably do, just not one that's vocalized. Cool. Again, they're probably waiting for the tours. So yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where you go. I think you're right in that idea of like the soundscape. If Anderson .Paak kind of was a bit more headstrong in it, then maybe it could go a number of different ways. But it seems like we know the trajectory it's on, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not unhappy with it. I think it'll be sick.
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be good. Yeah.
I just want some more Yes Lord.
Yeah,
that's what I want. I just want some of that.
Bring knowledge into the studio.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Oh, that would be bagging. Yeah, that would be bagging. But we're just gonna have to wait and see on that one, man. Don't know if there's any other news really.
The last week, no. I think we missed it a couple of weeks ago. There was obviously D'Angelo had his
his verses, yes.
His verses. I didn't even watch it. I missed it. I don't know where I was that evening.
I think it was on a Sunday or so. I'm not too sure. Yeah, I didn't watch it.
Apparently it was very good. Her was on it. I saw a clip of the Her song.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that as well? Because he brought on Her to do Nothing Even Matters. It's like, of course, Lauryn Hill was not going to make this. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, oh, but you know what? Verse is actually quite relevant now, because I don't know if you've heard, but they've sold the Verses idea on, I can't remember who to, but yeah, they've sold it on.
Really?
Yeah. So some people weren't happy about that. Because obviously, I think they're saying, "Oh, you're selling like a black business," and you know, you can have your own opinion about that. Don't really care, but yeah, they've sold it on. So I don't know if it'll be done in the same format going forward. We have to wait and see. But just speaking about the D'Angelo one, well, it's a partnership. It says strategic partnership. Well, you know what that means. But I don't know. I knew that D'Angelo versus was coming up, but it's like I saw D'Angelo versus Friends. I was like, that's just gay, innit? Like that just kind of takes them from the idea of from the whole thing, innit? You meant to go up against someone. I feel like D'Angelo just kind of copped out for whatever reason. I don't know. Like the whole point of it.
Who would he have gone against though? That's the thing.
Could have done Maxwell, someone like that. Yeah,
it's not. Is that comparable? That's not fair.
I mean, it's something, right? Like you can't just have no one. Like that's the thing. You're not gonna act like no one stands to D'Angelo. D'Angelo's the only person in his genre that can like. No, I don't believe that. Like, even if it's a woman, like, it doesn't have to be like another guy. I know they're
no, of course not.
I know they're very gender specific on these fucking verses, but could be anyone, right? But
yeah,
for him just to kind of make it like a mini concert, it's like that's not what I watch verses for, to be honest. Like,
it was a bit of a victory lap, wasn't it?
Yeah, man. And I think the whole bloody concept's a victory lap now. I feel like it's just become too soft. I think before it was like versus like who actually has the better set of songs, and then it became it came in like a dick stroking contest. Like, oh my gosh, you're amazing too. Oh my gosh, we just love each other. We're just both just great. It's like, no, like bring on people who actually want to say I'm the better artist. I think that makes it way more interesting instead of just like having it just be like a. It's just a dick sucking concept.
I think obviously
I'm sorry, it is.
As it becomes more popular, you're obviously going to get artists being more calculated about it, because obviously that's what D'Angelo's done. Like, it works as great promo for the fact that he's got an album coming out pretty soon.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, apparently he has one coming out this year.
Oh, mad, fair enough.
I don't know what to expect.
Same. Hope it's not Black Messiah though.
I'm gonna bite my tongue to know how I feel about that album.
Sorry. Just for me, in it. Just me. I do not prefer D'Angelo on that type of topic or soundscape, but it is what it is.
Let's move on before you carry on. Let's go into our spotlight artist that we had this week,
yes, Bellah.
Which was the talented Bellah from London. Whereabouts in London was she from? Did we work it out? South, north?
I'm gonna say south in it, but we'll find out. I could be completely wrong.
We'll always go with south.
We always go south.
Yeah, South London.
But London singer Bellah. She's dropped a couple albums now. She's been around for a couple of years. She's been on my radar for a long time. No, not a long time, but a good amount of time, like since like November or so. So I think that's when her
Hmm.
second album dropped, The Art of Conversation. Yeah, I think she's really good. I think she's got a lot of potential, like a lot of potential. I'm kind of surprised that she's as low key as she is now. And I'm not saying this in no shady way, but you know me, I gotta keep it real. Compared to the other singers that are popping right now in the UK R&B space, I'm surprised she's not on the forefront of that, to be honest. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm just
Drop
saying,
some
like,
names, Tox.
no,
Drop some
I'm not
names.
doing
Come
that. I'm
on,
not
we've
doing
got to do
that.
that.
I'm nice. I'm blunt, but I'm nice. Like, I'm not gonna do that. But I'm just saying, like, she should definitely be like the feature that everyone should like. It's cheap. It's probably a cheaper feature than a lot of these other people. So it's like,
Mm.
why is she not like massive yet? Like 2 albums deep. So yeah, that really confused me. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm a big fan as well. Obviously, you introduced me to her. I think
Mhm.
you'd added her to the Now and Then playlist, hadn't you, a few weeks
Yes.
back?
I thought,
Yeah.
yeah, more than that now. I think it was probably like January or so. Yeah, I remember
Really?
that. Yeah, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I remember that.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm a big fan. I like the idea around this album as well, like
Mhm.
going through kind of different like life scenarios and stuff, and just looking at how she's dealt with them all.
Mm.
I think the big one that confused both of us when we found out was Supernova
Yeah.
actually being about her mum, because you're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just another love song.
Yeah, that's
Deep
literally what I
emotions
thought.
there. Who did this to you? And it's like, no, she actually was like talking about the deepest love she knows, which is for her mum.
I mean, that's really sweet.
I love that.
I mean,
Yeah,
she
that's very sweet.
she should have left it vague because I guess it works in both ways, isn't it? Like just a love you have for someone. But yeah, I mean, it seems like that's a common theme that she's gonna take with every album is to kind of dedicate the closer to her mum because she's done it on her first album, Last Train Home.
Yeah.
Before we kind of get into the songs, one thing I've noticed as well, like her albums are really fucking short. Like, obviously, normally I love short albums, but this one is like 19 minutes.
19
Like,
minutes.
I was surprised it was an album. I was like, I messaged just like, are you sure it's an album, bro? He's like, yeah, it's an album. I was like, shit. Like, that's
the
really
first one was what, 21 minutes?
yeah, like she does
as
not
well?
waste time in the studio. She's in and out. Like, I don't know. How do you feel about that? Are you like, yeah, you know what? She got everything she needs to say, or it's like you would have expected a bit more from her?
I don't even know if I expect a bit more at this point.
Okay, fair.
Obviously, in terms of like features, it said there were, what was it, 3 songs with Alexander Lewis. I don't know who he is, if I'm honest.
Me neither.
But yeah, I think future albums will probably be longer. I think if she gets like genuine features in there, then that will probably kind of drag the album a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, 19 and 21 minutes, I don't see many artists doing a 3P of that.
Yeah.
That is crazy succinct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, having said that though, she does keep it very interesting throughout the whole thing, right? So, like, speaking more about the art of conversation, like, kind of, it does feel like every song is a conversation to whoever she's trying to speak to. So even like, if I were you talking to a girl, like, if I were you, like, what would you tell me to do if I was sending this to you? Do you know what I mean? Or something you like, kind of like being a lot more boisterous about talking to this guy, like, I'm the shit, like, you want me, kind of thing. And yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Honestly, Supernova is a great closer. I think we put that as one of the videos on our Spotlight series. If you haven't checked that out, it's on our Instagram, Vinyl Collective Pod. But yeah, no, I think I think so far she hasn't missed. I would want to see a bit more from her. I think the one thing I'd say that she could definitely do more is lean into her British influences more. Because if I didn't know she was British, I would think she was like an American singer. And
yeah,
I feel like I'm not because of the sake she's British, but just that I feel like it's good to kind of pull from all your influences as an artist, because it just makes your music way more interesting. So
yeah, agree.
So yeah, I think that's just one thing I would expect more of her from. But the songs that she's given so far definitely leave me excited to keep me like, okay, like, where is she going to be in this whole UK R&B scene in the years to come? Yeah.
No, I definitely agree. I think in these first like 2 projects, it's okay to kind of like do what you know, and like it's quite it's like nice R&B. Yes, and obviously, exactly. As you said, if she pulls in more on like influences or other artists around London, like different sounds. Like we had, who was it last week, Jules, and obviously he's really like tuned into a lot of different influences. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, definitely does leave you wanting more.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, definitely check her out. On our Spotlight series playlist on Spotify. Our 3 songs were, I think, of Something You Like, Peanut Butter Hazel Extended. Don't know where the original one is, but fair enough. And I think it was Supernova was the last one. So yeah, no, banging single. Yeah, don't know if there's anything else you want to cover or not. That's it.
That's it.
All
Check her out.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
We'll take a brief break, just a brief one, and then we'll be right back. Right, we're back. So as you can tell by the title of this episode, we're going to be talking a lot about Twigs, FKA Twigs, formerly known as Twigs, even though everyone calls her Twigs. Weird title. But yeah, we're going to talk a lot about her. Seems quite fitting, given this week has been International Women's Day, and a lot of stuff has gone on that will definitely
Some say perfect timing. Some say it wasn't coincidence.
No, it's maybe just as a disclaimer, right? Like, we planned this episode regardless about 5 weeks ago, something like that, like a long time ago. But it just seems like the stars kind of just aligned on this one. It was like, okay, cool, like we have to do this episode. So I think it's gonna be a banger. But yeah, let's just kind of get into it. So today we're gonna talk a lot about her second album. Weird saying that because it's been around for such a long time.
Yeah, but second studio album. Yeah.
Okay, fair. Second studio album, Magdalene. So she's had about a few EPs here and there, but in terms of albums, so this is a follow up to her. I'll say damn near classic status now. LP1.
I think it's become that.
Yeah. So LP1. Big album. I think everyone's expecting a follow up. Took about 5 years to do so. So yeah, this was a longer awaited album. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, not everyone knows about FKA Twigs, right? Not much to say, but let's just I'll give a bit more context. So this album was about 30 minutes and change. 9 songs.
40 minutes.
Short. Yeah, okay, 40 minutes, right? So about 9 songs. I think where I want to start off with this kind of discussion is kind of, were you a fan of FKA Twigs prior to this album dropping? And I guess kind of what was your general thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say that I enjoyed her music, but it wasn't like a James Blake or an MF Doom for me. Like I wasn't listening to it like every week, right? So I was definitely aware of LP1. I think songs like was it Lights On or like 2 Weeks, songs like that I really enjoyed. But I honestly hadn't listened to it the whole way through more than a couple times. Damn. Yeah. I listened to Melissa quite a lot, which is weird. I listened to that a lot more than I did LP1. Okay. Because I love Figure 8. And Mother Creep is just such a strange song as well. I love it too. But yeah, so yeah, I was definitely more into Melissa, which was, as you said the other day, like if you don't like LP1, you will not like Melissa, because it goes even further away from like the alternative R&B that she's already making. So yeah, what about yourself? I know you've probably been into her a bit longer than me.
I think I knew who FKA Twigs was for quite a while, but it wasn't until about 2017, probably end of 2016, where I kind of tuned into LP1 and I was like, holy shit, like this is amazing. Like, and it's really weird because it's not like I listened to any sort of music like that prior to FKA Twigs, and I know she's touted as like the queen of neo R&B because of that record. But even though it was like entering a dark room first time, like, and you just hearing all these noises, like, what the fuck is that? Like, what is going on? But then once you kind of like adjust, you're like, wow, this is amazing. Like, this is really, really, really good. So I'm surprised you only say you listen to it a couple times over, because for me, it's like, it's weird because it's also a really good electronic album and a really good R&B album at the same time. Like, it's not one or the other. And I don't know if anyone's ever going to strike that balance the way she has on this one, where it's like, if someone just said, oh yeah, this is a really good electronic album, go and listen to it, you would even consider the R&B aspects to it. But if you said, oh, it's a good R&B album, you can see the aspects of it very clearly. So I think, I think the songwriting on this album is amazing. I think the production is out of this world. Yeah, it's really, really good. So I think I was definitely waiting for a follow up for sure. It's like, wow, I definitely want more of this. And the Melissa EP, it definitely goes all the way left of everything that's on LP1, and it's not bad. It's not bad, but it is one of those things where, yeah, if you don't like LP1,
You're not
just
gonna
not.
like
Yeah,
this.
yeah, it's just important. I just don't think it's possible.
I said like the whole kind of like soundscape is more experimental. There's like that kind of like mechanical kind of industrial. I remember because I used to have this like electronic drum kit at home, right?
Okay.
And there was always this like industrial drum kit, which just sounded like someone clattering around in a warehouse. But like, yeah, there's definitely like industrial like sounds and stuff on it, which, you know, as we get into Magdalene, we'll get into a little bit more of that like layering.
Yeah,
of songs.
for sure. Yeah, for sure. So so I mean, especially coming to this, so I'll kind of kick off the general thought. So when it kind of came to this, I was kind of expecting more of that. I was like, okay, cool. Like, this is what I'm kind of signed up to. And then I think the first single, which was Cellophane, came out for this, and I was like, oh, okay, she's kind of going in a different direction, which I kind of get because maybe that sound is. It came out in 2014, right? So maybe that sound is kind of way past, 5 years later. But it was kind of also a shame because when you are kind of the queen of your own genre, you can kind of just get away doing that for the rest of your career, right? You can just keep doing that because no one else can really beat you at it. But it just seemed like she's wanted to go in a different direction, not fully, but definitely a change of direction. So I think listening to Magdalene was definitely a completely different experience. I'm just gonna ask you quickly before we even get into the songs. So I guess what do you so the album title's called Magdalene, right?
Yeah.
And obviously you are the Christian man on this podcast. So do you know much about the story of Mary Magdalene?
So it's funny you asked that, Tope. Great question. So yeah, I guess I knew, growing up in a Christian household, going to church as a kid, like I definitely knew a fair bit about who she was. So I think most people know that she was like a follower of Jesus. So like she kind of went around with him, like as he taught throughout, Judea as it was there, just name dropping. So yeah, she was kind of like mentioned in various places in like the New Testament, but like only in a couple of books. And obviously, as we'll get into more of the kind of aspects of like femininity and stuff, like just for context, there are 2 books out of the entire Bible that are written by women. So it's obviously very telling that Mary Magdalene kind of is mentioned so briefly, and yet there's so much. There's like so much in culture about her, right? So in terms of her like legacy in that, we were talking the other day that like people kind of understand Mary Magdalene possibly in like the context of her being a prostitute, which we both know now is obviously not true. And there was, obviously the Pope, what was it, in the 6th century or something, confused her with another Mary in the Bible, which, just says it all, isn't it? Like a few women in the Bible and he's confused them, and kind of saw her as like a sinner, and then was like, oh, sinner probably means prostitute. So then that's kind of like built this monster that's kind of got out of control, because a lot of people who are maybe not from a Christian background or something will probably hear Mary Magdalene and have those kind of thoughts immediately like come up. So yeah, that's kind of a background to Mary Magdalene. Yeah, what kind of did you understand when you saw the title, and then I don't know, maybe like researched a little bit into who she was? What did you expect?
So a couple other things about her, because obviously she was called Mary Magdalene because she's from I think, is it Judea-ish? No, some place called Magdala. I don't know if it still exists.
Yeah, I think it's near the like Sea of Galilee or something like that, near there. Yeah.
So they kind of had to distinguish her from, obviously Mary's a very common name, so they had to distinguish her from the other Marys by calling her Mary of Magdala, which turned into Mary Magdalene. And she's the most quoted woman in the Bible, I believe. So she holds very important, very, very important significance in terms of Jesus' story. She was one of the women who kind of followed him around, and this is in addition to the whole prostitute story. So in terms of her not being a prostitute, people say she was like a healer, right? And she kind of, followed Jesus around when he was doing these healings and stuff like that. And I think another thing to note was she's been noted multiple times by different people, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is it. But Bai was kind of basically a compilation of people who were like witnesses to Jesus.
Yeah.
So there's multiple people who have quoted her. So I think historians have kind of agreed that this is actually a person that existed, which is kind of weird to be fair. But yeah, I think, well, there's one more thing I was going to say. Yeah. So apparently the legend is that she had 7 demons inside her and she was cured of them all, which I think definitely ties into some of the themes that we're going to talk on this album. I guess my next question to you is why do you think FKA Twigs thought it was fitting to kind of call this record Magdalene? Do you think she sees herself as Mary Magdalene in a sense?
Yeah, I think before I answer that, she was also the first person to find Jesus when he'd been like resurrected. So she was a person that like went and found the empty tomb, which is obviously the fact that it was a woman is pretty interesting. But yeah, so in terms of the album itself, yeah, I think as we see like throughout the album, like FKA sees herself and a lot of probably women as well see themselves in how we understand Mary Magdalene. We've understood Mary Magdalene through men's storytelling, right? Like these men have written almost the entire Bible, and we understand these small pieces of women's lives through these guys writing about them. So I think that's what FKA Twigs sees herself reflected in, because she obviously, was dating Robert Pattinson, hugely famous actor at the time. She's obviously not, a mega star like him. So she probably sees her significance, relevance attached to this guy. And obviously then Magdalene is about like recovering her own ability to tell her story and then going about telling it the way she wants it to be told. And that could tie into, I don't know, maybe like lies she's seen about herself, or like the whole Magdalene being a prostitute thing. Like that just kind of, as soon as you hear that about someone, or as soon as you use those types of words about someone, it just invalidates them completely. And then anything you hear from them, you're like, well, whatever, because they're such and such thing. So yeah, I guess that's the significance of Magdalene for me. What about you?
I agree with everything you say. I think just another thing to add was Twigs was dealing with a lot of health issues prior to this album, so I think people just kind of thought she was just taking the time off to take the time off, but she had I think it was tumors in her ovaries, so which led to her having multiple surgeries. They didn't find it for a long time, because I mean she kept going to like doctors doing acupuncture, all these things, and it just and it was quite a while until they found the cyst, so she had to have surgery, and she was kind of like out of it for quite a while. And then it got to a point where like she couldn't even like hold down fruit or certain foods, so she had to like not learn how to do things again, but kind of build herself up, because I think if anyone's kind of followed FKA Twigs, she's definitely a very active person, physical wise. Jeremy, like she was a dancer and all that stuff, so not being able to do all of those things and kind of build yourself back up to be able to like pole dance again, or learn how to do sword fighting, or like the martial art wushu. These are all things that obviously it takes a great amount of strength coming from that. So I think that definitely ties into the album's theme of like, yeah, Mary Mag, that kind of like not just healing of other people, but herself as well. Whilst also, I think she's not discarding the prostitute kind of theory. I think she's trying to use it towards her benefit in some of these songs as well, which is quite interesting. So yeah, that's the way I saw it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, I'd missed out on I hadn't thought too much about the healing aspect, so
yeah,
good job there's two of us, right? Yeah, before we start, I just want to put a little footnote here.
Go on.
Magdalene was the best album to be released in 2019. I'm just going to put that out there before we review the album, because usually, obviously, as you know from last week, Tope will go off on one after we finished and just say about how Untitled Unmastered is up there. But yeah, best album of 2019 in my opinion. My humble opinion. How do you feel about that, Tope?
Obviously, I saw your list of 2019, so I'm not surprised it's still there, but definitely don't agree. I think everyone knows my favorite album of 2019 is Grey Area. It still is Grey Area, probably always will be Grey Area, but it's not bad. I've had it it was number 3 for me. I put it behind Ari Lennox's Shave Up Baby for reasons that we'll get into whilst we talk about the album, but yeah, I mean that's no mean the diss, right? It's top 3, but I definitely feel like there are some points on this album that are, that could be improved, I'll say. But I think the highs on this album are so high, like so high. And bear in mind, this album came out November of 2019, so for it to be on my list, it's a huge compliment. Like it's no shade to her, but I feel like some of the lows on this record, they're not that low, but I think there's just certain. I think there's certain inconsistencies in terms of the album theme and the track listing that I think could have been improved on in a big way. Where which we'll definitely discuss.
Yeah, I'm open to hearing that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a 100% perfect album. I'm sure.
No, of course not. Well. Yeah, of course not. No, it's pretty fucking good though. Let's not get twisted.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Oh man, I'm smiling when I'm started. Right,
John's ecstatic. Let's just get into it. Go on, kick
it. Let's go. Let's do a little track by track to start with. So obviously we start with Thousand Eyes. Starts, I guess, as she means to go on, a lot of like repetitive phrases, a lot of kind of, like she's kind of stuck in a cycle. She's just saying these phrases again and again. But one of the obviously really poignant ones is, if I walk out the door, it starts our last goodbye. If you don't pull me back, it wakes 1,000 eyes. And obviously I kind of understood that to be this relationship she was in, and the kind of like media scrutiny, the 1,000 eyes kind of being the public, I don't know whether friends and family as well, but definitely like the public and how people are kind of perceiving her in association to this big celebrity. And there's definitely a kind of link between this first song and the final song in terms of that, like how she's been seen and kind of like scrutinized and watched the whole time by the people. But yeah, that's what I kind of got from it.
Yeah, no, exactly the same, to be honest. I think I think a lot of this album, it can be directly related to Robert Pattinson, to be honest. I think this is the main one, which kind of is kind of weird because I guess it's not really it's not really tied to the theme, because again, to me this kind of seems like a relationship record, but then that's how it's called, Magdalene. So I know FKA Twigs is very intentional about her songwriting and like her production and all that stuff, so I tried to like look into kind of the weeds of things and see what the thing meaning is here, but I didn't really find much outside of just this being about like if she walks out the door, the relationship's over. But she pulls him back, then she's still under, like you said, under the scrutiny of dating a very, very famous actor.
So and she's like, it's going to be cold with all those eyes or something.
Cold stares.
We love it.
Production
on this again just kind of like gives you a taste for what's to come. But like, I just love the shout out The Weeknd, Beauty Behind the Madness. But like, there's like so much craziness going on, and there's like, when you really like tune in, you kind of understand it, because I think that's one of the criticisms of this album is the kind of like confusing, like disjointed production on it. And I love it, like the kind of like splintering of like vocals and stuff, and just like the build up. There are so many songs in this album where just like the instrumentals just like slowly wind up, and then there's just like this big release at the end, whether it's like her kind of like vocals and she just kind of like yells or whatever. But yeah, production banging on this album.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
absolutely.
Cool. Since we're at the top of it, let's just discuss that. I think hearing this as well definitely felt like we were definitely seeing a bit of a departure from LP1. Like, I think there's definitely still some electronic elements in here, but it does seem like she's taken a more pop route, which is weird to say, but if you think of artists like I think obviously you mentioned Kate Bush, Sophie, I mean, like, it seems like it's going more in that vein, where it's like it's not trying to be as innovative as possible. It's just trying to. It seems like this one's definitely trying to be more accessible, and which is not shade, because I think she probably could do with more fans, right? But yeah, you can definitely tell like she's definitely trying to. I think the words are more intentional in this one. I think she wants the words to land more on this one than her previous record. That's what I noticed, especially from this song as well. Like, it's very easy to digest. Like, given if relative to FKA Twigs songs, right? I feel like this song is quite easy to kind of digest and get the gist of. So
Mm. Yeah, I agree. And that said, like, still really simplistic lyrics on a lot of songs. But yeah, I agree. I
yeah.
agree with that. Should we hit song number 2, which is
Hmm.
Home with You?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, let's a couple of, we were quoting some lyrics before to each other, but
Fuck me, John's
yeah,
gleaming for you to go on.
I am. Yeah, she's like, how come the more you have, the more that people want from you? The more you burn away, the more that people earn from you. The more you pull away, the more they depend on you. And this kind of, yeah, definitely ties into what she was going through at this point. You kind of mentioned earlier with all the health concerns on top of relationship, on top of fame and status. So yeah, she definitely struggled with a lot of things at this point. And it's such a relatable feeling to anyone, even if you're not a celebrity, right? It's a relatable feeling when you are struggling yourself and someone that you are with, whether it's a friend or a relative or a partner, whatever it is, needs you for something as well. And that's obviously the struggle that's going on in this song, is she doesn't maybe feel capable of giving while she's dealing with kind of her own struggles of fame. You know, it's there's more people like wanting from you, trying to take things from you when they see this fame and money and stuff.
But then I feel like she kind of turns that around right after the line she says, I never seen a hero like me in a sci-fi. So I wonder if your needs are even meant for me. I wonder if I can ever raise you up. I wonder if I can ever help you fly. So it's like all the things that it's like she is trying to be that healer, right? I mean, she even mentions later on, Mary Magdalene would never let her loved ones down. So even though she's not feeling great about, she seems like she feels like she's being used. It's like, okay, but I am a healer, right? Like I'm Mary Magdalene, so this is kind of what I'm meant to do, which is kind of fucked up to think of, but it's like, you know, that's where your mind is taking you. And again, just tying to the health issues, like, you know, it says apples, cherries, pain, breathe in, breathe out, pain. No, Novocaine. Like she doesn't even want painkillers for this. Like it's just kind of wants to accept it. Like it's almost as if she sees herself as some sort of martyr throughout this whole song in a sense.
I love the delivery as well at the beginning, like those lines you were just quoting now, like the whole like spoken word, like just really breathy delivery. I think is amazing. On this album, I think she just like really utilizes her voice in so many different ways.
And the way she warps her voice, it makes it feel like she's like, man. And it makes it so much better because it does feel like it's like someone who's crippled. That's the vibe I get. Like, you know, it just sounds like someone who's just like down rotten. It's like, yeah, I think that kind of perfectly ties into exactly what she's saying. Like, you know, she feels like she's half of herself. That's how I get. And that's how I feel exactly what the lyrics reflect.
Yeah, definitely. Probably one of the more like understated songs in terms of like production and layering, would you say? Because I mean, a lot of the other songs reach like bigger crescendos.
I think it definitely does hit a dramatic end towards the end. Maybe it takes a bit long to get there. Yeah, but I think it makes up for it for being just a really sweet song.
It does. No, that wasn't even a diss on it. I was just
it does kind of. I think it kind of goes in and out of like really. I don't know, like very harmonic, very kind of soulful, and it just goes back into that like downrodden voice. The kind of like I don't know why she did it, but it is a bit it does throw you off a little bit when you first hear it. But, I think towards the end it does get more progressive, and you know, I think it makes up for kind of the slow start.
And also that like we mentioned before in terms of, you know, from album to album how her sound has kind of evolved. Like the first bit of this song, you know, with those like really like mechanic sounding voice, it's just I know she does it in every song, but like just so like eerie and creepy, but just in a different way. Oof.
She almost sounds pissed off.
She does.
That's the same. It's just really
just like like almost whispering like these words out. Yeah,
exactly. But I mean, moving on to Sad Day. Go on.
Yeah. This one kind of produced by Skrillex was on the productions. Obviously, you know, he's EDM, electronic backgrounds. So obviously you're going to get those kind of like glitchy production sounds in there, which, kind of, you get a lot of that throughout the album, whether it's like splintered vocals or kind of like static sounds. And that's definitely something you get here. which works because obviously the song is, about like this broken relationship. And the music video I have to mention for this song is amazing. The music video is ridiculous. So obviously you said like she's like honed her art for this album and for the tour especially, because that's where you're going to see these skills come into play. But like she learned wushu for this and found a guy, I think it was on Instagram, who was also a wushu practitioner, and they made this incredible music video where they're just like walking through the streets like fighting, and then at the end he like chops her in half, like right down the center, and then like her skin like peels away, and there's just like pink matter in the middle. Jesus. Understand that what you may. But yeah, I love this song. Like really haunting kind of production, and like the pounding drums and stuff just really work with the music video as well. Obviously, like quite high energy.
That song's really good song.
Yeah.
Go on.
No.
Really good song. It does feel like a sad day. I mean, that's why it works. Like it literally does feel like it's almost as if she's kind of pleading with this guy to take a chance on her or to kind of take it back. Do you mean? But it's saying like, oh, if you're foolishly in love with me, it's a fine day for sure. But it almost seems like she doesn't even believe this guy should even care for her, which is, that's pretty fucking sad. You know what I mean? Like, damn, son. But like, no, honestly, good song. Really short song, but I think it works. I think it's definitely one of the more accessible songs on this record. But works for me, to be honest. Not much to say.
Let's hit it. Track number 4, Holy Terrain.
And before we get into this, right? This is where I cut you off, John. Before we get into this, so this is the only feature on the album, as of course you would know, John. So this is where Future comes in, and obviously, if you've never heard, like, obviously now that sounds like, oh yeah, that sounds perfectly fine, right? Because she's teamed up with Headie One since then, and all that. It sounds perfectly normal. But at the time, this has to be one of the most weirdest link-ups in a while. Like people like, and the FKA Twigs fans were very vocal about that. They were not happy that Future came and spoiled the day for FKA Twigs. But I have to say, like, for such a weird collaboration, I think it works very, very well. Very, very well. Because if you listen to this album, I don't think, where does Future fit? And to be honest, she did have to kind of become more trendy, I have to say, to kind of get Future to fit on this one. But I do feel like I've always wanted to hear FKA Twigs on traditional R&B sound, because I think she could do it. Because I think people forget she's such a good singer. Like, she's such a good singer. But because she does all that weird shit, it's easy to forget. So I think this song showcases that really well. And you've got Future kind of coming in. His voice is kind of like beneath the audio, like beneath the production sense, and it comes in and out. Like, I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah. But the fans weren't happy. I mean, it's definitely a radio reach, but I think it works. Actually, I do genuinely believe it works. Go on. You're
like, go on, John.
Yeah.
I enjoy the song a lot as well. I think the story behind it's quite interesting. The fact that it's the King of Toxic that she's invited into this like pretty feminine album about really kind of emotional issues, and she's chosen him. It's a gamble. She said she kind of just messaged him, was like, "Hi, it's Twigs. Like, let me know if you'd like to talk about music or anything." And then he messaged back quite quickly and was like, "Yo, I'm down." I don't know what Future says.
You're just assuming it's like,
and replied back, and they obviously got in touch for this collab. I think it works well. It's strange to see like the different side to Future in this as well. That the whole story is obviously about this romance, and they're kind of like getting to know each other a bit, and then he's realizing that obviously in the past he's had a lot of like short relationships, short flings, and he's realizing that actually investing in this relationship, this other person, is a long-term thing. I'm going to look for the quote, and it will explain it so much better than I'm trying to do. And he says, if you pray for me, I know you play for keeps. And he's like realizing that like a new type of commitment for him, right? And that, you know, FK is like is serious and wants to like actually invest in him, and he's kind of becoming self-aware of that, which, you know, is kind of funny if you think about Future's music, generally speaking. But yeah, that's kind of what I took from it. I mean, I love the collab. Like, she's obviously, we now know after this she's collabed with Headie One, like you said, and she was obviously on A$AP Rocky's album. On, was it Fuck Sleep? Is that the song? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, she's definitely able to kind of to work with all these artists. And Future as well, we saw him on the Headie One album, and how he's able to just be so versatile and adapt to different beat per minute flows. And you're like, wow, like this guy can like do the most.
He can do anything really. Like, I know that sounds weird because it's Future, but he's very versatile for his capabilities. Very, very talented. I'm not gonna lie. And I don't know. I feel like he did play the role of like the man quite well, to be honest. And like, it kind of comes like damn near the middle of the record as well. I think it works. I think it's really good, to be honest. That's
all I have to say on that one.
She goes into the title track.
The title track. Oof. Mary Magdalene.
Big tune. So where do you want to start off with this one? It's like right in the middle of the record as well.
Yeah. Oh, I think probably top 2 songs maybe for me, or definitely one of the top 2 songs on the album for me.
Okay.
I think we kind of mentioned earlier how there's maybe like there was an element to like there was an element of like anger and stuff in kind of FKA kind of like whispering and kind of like that spoken word thing. It felt like there was a lot of like really strong emotion, and that's what I get here is the kind of like there's a build up, maybe like a minute and a half, 2 minutes before the end of the song. Like the song slowly starts ramping up, and you kind of feel like there's this like almost like the wrath like the wrath of Mary Magdalene and of FKA Twigs together about these, you know, false narratives, or these kind of their inability to tell their own story, because obviously FK kind of like plays on that whole narrative of like Mary Magdalene being a prostitute, because she's like you know, creature of desire, oh, you didn't hear me when I told you, oh, you didn't hear me now. And it's like she's like saying like, you didn't listen to me, but like now I'm telling you. And you definitely get like a really strong like sense from her there, which I thought was cool. Obviously creature of desire, you know, she's taking that and flipping it and kind of using it to explore her own sexuality and desire and those things, going out of a relationship and trying to like redefine herself. She's like drawing on these kind of things.
No, I think you put it perfectly. I think that's exactly what I took from it as well. Like, I think because the chorus kind of says like, you know, I'm fever for the fire, you know, creature of desire. And the other side of the chorus is like, you know, I can lift you higher. I do it like Mary Magdalene. So it's like, like that's exactly what we were kind of talking about before, right? It's like, but what if she was a prostitute? What if she was in these streets? Yeah, I'm gonna take that. Yeah, you want me, like, but it's like whichever way, like, and I think FKA Twigs has always been very explicitly like you know, direct about what she wants in a man in relationships. Like, especially in LP1, like she does not hold back. So it's like, I think to kind of lead into it is a perfect use of the kind of Mary Magdalene theme. And also kind of just like shouting out women on this one, like even starting off with A Woman's Work, which is an ode to Kate Bush, who, you know, she definitely leans on in terms of like, you know, inspiration for this album. I mean, there was another part of the song that I thought was really interesting. I know where you start, where you end, how to please, how to curse. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, do you know what I mean? So it's like it's literally looking at all kind of parts of the Mary Magdalene story, because we mentioned before, right? She was cured of 7 demons, so she knows how to curse. That's what she's kind of saying. She knows how to please because she's a prostitute. She knows where you start, where you end. She was with Jesus the whole time. She saw him die. She saw him come back. So all these themes, like, and also just tying it to men in everyday society, like, like, you know, I think she's kind of saying like, like women kind of play the role of Mary Magdalene in men's life. Do you think that's the case?
I think so. Yeah, I think yeah. I think she's definitely relating it not just to her, but to like the everyday experience of women. Yeah. 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 I'm just gonna get carried away with how much I love the song. But yeah,
No,
no,
I mean,
yeah.
no, I'm saying like, do you think like the everyday woman does play like a Mary Magdalene role, maybe in like a husband's life, a partner's life, like in terms of the men around her?
I think a lot of the time it will happen. Yeah. I don't know whether I'm like in the best place to answer that, but like like from what I hear, from what I read, listen to, like yeah, of course that happens. Like you're often like a footnote in someone else's story, which is what this whole album is about, right? Like Mary Magdalene was, you said she was the most mentioned female in the Bible, but like she's only mentioned even that being like just a few times. So yeah, I think there's definitely that. Yeah, I think probably a lot of women will relate to that.
Yeah,
definitely.
For sure. But yeah, no, like, and even you said like it kind of builds up, like that drum coming in on the chorus. It just sounds so epic. Like yeah, like it's just so much. There's so much empowerment in this chorus, and I think yeah, fully ties into what you're saying. To be honest, but yeah.
I love it. I love like what you're talking about in that Mary Magdalene was in fact so like really powerful. Like she was like placed in all of these positions of like you said, seeing him die, seeing him live. Like what if it's true? What if she was in fact in a relationship with like Jesus, and in fact, you know, there are loads of stories about like maybe she had a child, maybe this and this was true. And throughout the song, she's kind of like reclaiming those kind of insults and stuff, and then turning it around to putting herself in a position of power, which is pretty cool. But yeah, the production of this, she said it was the most complex song she's ever made.
Really?
Mary Magdalene. In terms of production layering, yeah, I listened to her talk about it, and it took them quite a while to produce this, because I think she was working with it was Kashmir Cat was working on this, who's done some. I think we'll talk about him a bit later, but like he's obviously worked with a lot of artists, and they had a guy called Corliss. I think I don't really know who he is, but he seems to be really low key and electronic. But he kind of came in and, you know, added a few more little layers, and then yeah, it really sounds like a lot of these producers worked together with her, and it sounds kind of cool that they were like all in the studio being like, let's do this, maybe let's add a bit of this, let's see what so and so thinks. And you can kind of hear that in all the different layers, and like the way that there's just like cuts in, cuts out, there's like crazy background noises going, her voice is echoing, bouncing off the walls and stuff.
Especially towards the end. No, I see it.
Honestly, the build up at the end of Mary Magdalene, I think, is like one of the highs that you're talking about, like sonically.
Yeah, for sure. I think this kicks off a 3-track run, which is just high upon high upon high. And yeah, this is definitely the first. I mean, when I initially heard this song, I thought, it's like, cause I think I didn't really get the whole Mary Magdalene kind of story at the time when I first heard this. So I was like, okay, it's cool. Like, it's not bad. But then I think kind of living with it for like the past year and a bit, or a year and a half or so now, it's like, okay, no, this is actually a really fucking good song. Like, it just sounds better every time. And yeah, I mean, going into the next song, Fallen Alien, which for me, this is my favorite song by a mile. This song is so fucking sick. Like no, you know, it's not often when I hear a song like, wow, like I know I'm gonna love this for like for years to come. And this song just, oh man, there was nothing that could have prepared me from the past 5 songs for this song here. Like, this song is ridiculous, right? So this gonna be like the craziest song.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Like, this song is so it's amazing. It's really like just all the places she kind of goes with her words, and the sounds of the song is just insane. Like, yeah, it does sound like she's an alien. It doesn't sound like a fallen alien. It sounds like a scorned alien.
Yeah,
you know, I'll have no fury like a woman scorns. John. So yeah, no, go and talk to me more about Fallen Alien.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. There's like her voice on this as well. Like the falsetto is banging.
Yeah,
banging. She really sings her heart out on this one. And obviously, I feel like there's a bit of kind of like two ways of interpreting some of these lyrics in terms of like she's talking to her lover and she's talking to herself. So yeah, she's like, I'm a fallen alien. I never thought that you'd be the one to tie me down in this age of Satan. I'm searching for a light to take me home and guide me out. So obviously she said she kind of like reached this position in a relationship where she's like, I've had enough. Like, I don't want this anymore. And she obviously realizes that she's like really lost her way in terms of like being really self-reflective and looking at herself and be like, actually, I've lost something about myself as well. Not only is this relationship working, but I'm not being true to myself. And I think that's probably something that a lot of people can relate to when you kind of like take that step back. But yeah, I think it's a beautiful song.
It's an amazing fuck you song. Like, it's just like the first. I think it's the first. I don't know what you would call it.
Chorus?
Verse. It's the
verse. Okay.
It's the verse. Like it's the second one. Like after the chorus of the I'm a Fallen Alien. It's just the way that. It's just the way the beat builds up, like in the blazing sun. I saw it, and it just starts to build up.
Ripping him a new one. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And when she says, "See your grave from all the lies you tell," and she just goes like she's literally shouting at this point.
Yeah.
And normally that doesn't make for good music, but it's just, and her accent's kind of coming through quite a lot of this one. Like she's just going off on this guy, and I've never seen the FKA Twigs song like that. It seems like this one was just kind of. I wouldn't be surprised she didn't write this. I wouldn't be surprised it just kind of just came straight from her. But it just seemed like it's just full of raw emotion. And that little sample of it's like I feel a lightning blast that's going on at the chorus. I don't know if you've heard that. It just keeps going off. It's just there's so many parts of this song. Like literally, I really want to watch someone like a producer kind of break this down because there's so much kind of coming in and out that just makes the song just an amazing few minutes.
Yeah, it's brilliant. She's like, was it when the light is on, I see you, and then it's like, hold me close, so tender. Yeah. And so like when you fall asleep, I'll kick you down. It's like, come on.
Yeah, it's being so sarcastic about it.
Yeah.
Like, when you hold me close, so tender. It's like, yeah, of course. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it just seems like she's so over what's going on right now. Like, definitely one of my favorite songs of 2019. I'll say that for sure. This is a really high for me. But it's weird because it kind of seems to simmer down at Mirrored Heart, but that doesn't mean, John, that does not mean that the songs get any worse. It
does not mean that.
Down. And it seems like it's two sides of that coin, right? Where it's like they're both kind of emotions you'd feel from a breakup. So Mirrored Heart kind of talks about, looking at other people and basically just like reminiscing about having this relationship. So she's out of this relationship now. She's looking at other people with their loved ones, their mirrored heart, as she calls it, which is a really sweet way of thinking about it. Do you mean that is a sweet way of thinking? But like it's just kind of looking more about her actions during the relationship, what the guy really wanted from her. And this song is probably one of the sad, and I don't say this lightly. I'm not saying this lightly. This is definitely one of the saddest songs I've heard in at least 5 to 10 years. Like this song is so fucking sad, but it's so good. Like it's so good. Like do not listen to the song after a breakup. You're just gonna cry. It's gonna
finish you.
It's gonna finish you. Like before I let John go off, because I know he's just there just beaming. The lines that stick out to me is did you want me at all? No, not for life. Did you truly see me? No, not this time. Were you ever sure? No, not with me. And it's the way she sings it as well. And especially the second time that chorus comes in and the chord progressions, it's like, fuck. Like, oh man, like this song is so sad, but it's just so amazing. Like it's really good. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like there are not many songs that hit me the way this song hits. It's not even that like you don't even need to be in the space that she is or in that particular like situation she's in. Like I'm a happy guy right now. You're a happy guy. But like listening to this song made me I had a few tears, I'm not gonna lie. There hasn't been a song like this in a while that's like really got me. Like you said, like Mirrored Hearts is such a beautiful way of looking at it. And she kind of talks about how she sees a relationship being like that. the other person to you is a reflection of kind of who you are and who you aspire to be. And once you look at that other person and you don't see that reflected anymore, then time's up. The alarm is going off. And that's kind of what we talked about in kind of Fallen Alien. And she kind of does a couple of times in this relationship. In this album, she looks and sees, this person is no good for me. But yeah, it's the way she starts off this song with like that really long, like drawn out kind of like moan or like gasp, where she just kind of like, her voice is like creaking and crackling as she's like almost like crying out in pain.
It's almost like
that?
Yeah. No,
Oof,
literally.
That got me. And then, I think she says it a couple of times, that refrain of like, no, I'm never going to give you up, but I'm probably going to think about you all the time. And then, and for the lovers that found a mirrored heart, it just reminds me I'm without you. I'm like, just kick me when I'm down. Like,
man. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
This,
whatever she's selling here, I'm buying. Because I'm feeling it.
I'm cashing out. Like, oh man, like this is why I just love doing this show, because even talking about this song makes me feel away, and that's just the beauty of music, right? Like, that's why I say most music isn't great, but this is greatness. You can't put this in the other bracket as certain songs. Like, this song is just, man, just the ability to create something like this. Like, there's no way she doesn't feel this. Like, imagine singing this on stage. And you can they probably feel it as well. The audience probably feel it as well. Like, everyone's in that moment. It's like, it's just extremely sad.
Yeah.
And there was and then she keeps saying like, it's all for the gain, but she said it in different ways. Like, it's all for the ones trying to take the breath away. So on one side, it's like, it's for the people who are like trying to like get swept off their feet. But it's also for the people who are just trying to like avoid their problems and fuck away the pain, as she says.
Yeah. Like, there's almost that like element of like selfishness about it, where you're like, it's all for the love. All for the love, trying to take their breath away, and you're like, oh man,
man. Like, if you're listening to this episode and you've never listened to this song, if any song we've talked about doesn't interest you,
listen to this song.
This is the song. Like, this song is just it's really emotive. Like, it just strikes emotion in a way I just have not seen from many other artists, to be honest. This is a very rare skill. It's a very rare skill.
Yeah, and I think probably my favourite line is one you quoted earlier, like, did you want me at all? No, not for life. That in itself is just, if you just sit and unpack and read that, you're like, damn. Like, there's such deep, it's almost excruciating, like, listening to it and listening to her voice kind of, kind of like quiver and, and it's a bit of a stripped back ballad to start with, but it does definitely build again. And just the way she can convey like such like deep emotion, just with such a kind of like, at times it sounds like she's feeling like weak, and her voice is kind of tremoring a little bit, and top song.
This is a very elite song, elite song.
Which leads us. Should we hit the next one?
Yeah,
Daybed.
Daybed.
And this song, the more I listened to it, the more I got from it. And I think, like, the song is about, for me anyway, like kind of like depression and like stagnation and the kind of the breakup, the post breakup. So obviously Daybed is her kind of being, in this depressed state where she's kind of unable to kind of bring herself out of it, and she is kind of dealing with all of these like sounds and colours and feelings. And the imagery it conjured up for me anyway was kind of her like trying to like, she's obviously lying in bed or wherever it is, or on the sofa, right? And she's just trying to like work her way through this just like swirling like feelings and depression. And I think probably people listening, right, if you've ever like had these things before, you've ever like struggled with like mental health stuff before, you'll know that like it's often like very incapacitating. It incapacitates you, right? And you just feel overwhelmed. And I think that's what a lot of this song is about. Is about this just like build up of emotion, and the way it's produced as well. There's just so much going on. It's kind of really disorienting.
Yeah, no, I think it reminds me of, and it's a bit of an off-key reference, but I think it'll make sense. So for those who have watched Big Mouth, right? So you know the Depression Kitty.
I do.
It kind of it's like if the Depression Kitty,
It's a great comparison.
made a song, it would be like this. Like it's just like it's almost like it's documenting what it's like being in this depressive state. Do you know what I mean? Like possessive is my daybed.
That is
Do
a
you know what I mean?
mad
Like,
image. The way it's just like it definitely resonates with you if you've like been through that, because you're like your inability to like be physically active and your bed just kind of like owns you, right?
Yes.
And you're just like stuck there.
Yeah. No, literally, like even if you have like even a Big Mouth, I think there's a scene where I can't remember her name, the redhead girl. I don't know why it's leaving me. But where the kitty kind of sits on top of her, like she's a big kitty.
Yes,
and sits on top of her, like, do you know what I mean? Keeps it in the bed. Like this is literally the same thing here. It's like, yeah, like you're not tied to it necessarily, but it's just that feeling. It's just like, lower is my seat. Like it just feels like the room is just kind of coming in, and it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like there's a reason to get out of bed. So why would you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lowers my ceiling, pressing my feelings. Like it's just dirty on my dishes, not even washing up stuff like that. Yeah, like
two of the lines. Are you gonna go for it?
No, go on.
I was gonna say a couple of the lines that got for me was it friendly are the fruit flies? Yes. Something like that. It's like that image. If you think about it, like fruit flies, you have to be in a room with food for a long time for fruit flies to start coming around, and then to like the fact that she's kind of like embracing these signs of like.
Just decomposition.
Decomposition is the right word. Yeah.
No, for sure.
And then obviously she's like missing her love, and she's like, active are my fingers, foe. I didn't even hear it until I looked up the lyrics. I just thought it said four, but it says foe, as in like obviously fake foe my cunnilingus. So she's, pretending that she's got a lover there. But,
texture. Active on my fingers.
Yeah, active. That's a great verb.
Yeah.
But like so textured as well, like I was saying at the beginning. That's why it got me, because they're just like the chilling vocals, and like you imagine her in a room and all these like sounds and stuff are just bouncing off,
like
and she's
a
just
wind chime at the window. That's all you hear. Yeah, like the curtains are drawn, like it just for sure.
Can imagine it.
And then and then it goes into the closer, Cellophane.
Yeah.
Which tell us about the music video, John, about this one.
So the music video was really interesting. It gave me a new perspective on the song. Because she kind of like, we obviously know she's learned how to pole dance, very capable, like very talented, and so she kind of like slowly walks out through a number of like curtains, and you can kind of hear the stage and the audience in the background. She slowly gets there, slowly starts to take off, She's wearing a lot of clothing, takes off the layers and stuff, and then starts to dance. And it feels really like almost she's being like coerced into this performance, and she's doing it for people, and she doesn't really want to be. And that's something that I got more readily from the video that I didn't get from the song. And it kind of made sense. When she talks about cellophane, like cellophane is, transparent. It's material that you use to like protect things, wrap things up in, but you can still see into it. And obviously her and Robert Pattinson are like inside the cellophane, and she's saying what is it, they're waiting right at the end in that like quivering voice again. She's like, they're waiting, they're watching, they're hating and hoping that I'm not enough. And that's like the final line on the album. And she's like, these people, these 1,000 eyes are like watching me and waiting, and like fingers crossed that I'm gonna fall and like be not good enough.
Damn.
Which is just like fucking
like
excruciating. But like she hits all the operatic notes in this as well, and she does like the whole like lower register like breathy thing again. Like this song in terms of like vocals as well, there's a couple in this album where you're just like, damn, she can sing if she wants to, like apart from all the kind of like the production kind of taking over a lot of the songs. Like this song is like like she's got a voice. Didn't you say she used to be
I think she used to be an opera singer. Yeah, so I mean FKA Twigs, I mean it's so crazy. I mean she's had a whole career before all of this, right? Like she was a dancer at nightclubs. which definitely ties into her first LP for
Yeah.
sure. And obviously, but I don't know if it was before. I think it was before that she used to like do like opera singing here and there. So yeah, I mean, the woman can sing. Like that's the thing. There's never been any denial. There can't be of her singing ability. It's just that it's not something that she uses as a crutch. It's not like her main. It's not like, oh, I'm just gonna sing and that's it. Like, that's the thing you're always gonna be left with. Like. That's more of a Leanne Havas thing, right? She can do that. Just, the main take would be a singing. It doesn't need to be this like off-kilter production. But I think FKA Twigs wants to. It's like every element of a song I want to be involved and I want to put myself in that. So yeah, I think that's why it's easy to it's kind of reminds of Erykah Badu, where it's like you can forget that she's such an amazing singer because she has this weird, instrumentation. It's like, this woman can sing. Like, don't ever get it twisted. Like, and FKA Twigs is in the same vein for me.
Yeah, I think another couple of lines that stuck out from the song, like the in terms of that like performative bit in the music video where she's not really doing it for herself, she's doing it for this audience that you can't see, and they're kind of clapping when she comes on stage. She's like, I did it for you, why don't you do it for me? Why don't you do it for me when all I do is for you? And she's like, she's kind of being forced into this like performance when she's not really receiving anything back. And yes, what a closing song.
I feel like the way it ended was a bit abrupt. That's why it's a good song. I just don't think it's a closer for me.
Fair enough.
And that's why I was like, oh, because when I listened to it, I'm like, oh shit, the album's ended. What? Okay. Like I was just like, oh, that's a bit weird. But it's not a bad song. I think what I'll say about this album is that I feel like a lot of I think album sequencing would be a big thing here. Just to go over the top of Magdalene, because there's quite a few things to discuss. So with idea of Magdalene being like a prostitute or a savior, I feel like you could have split the album in those two sides, where maybe the first few songs are more about being a savior and a healer, and the other half is like, you kind of lead into that kind of. I mean, she mentioned like masculine energy of sorts. Like, you kind of lean into that, what if I was a prostitute? Or I'm taking ownership of that, being more empowering. And I felt like this was a song that probably suited more in the first half. And maybe you had something like, I think if Mary Magdalene even ended the album, I think that would have suited, to be honest.
Interesting.
But, I think this is definitely a good example of sequencing would have helped a lot. I know it's only 9 songs, so maybe another song would have helped to kind of close things out. But I think that's just the one thing I would say. Like, I don't think any of the songs are bad. I do think some of the songs are definitely out of place. Like, Holy Terrain does not sound like anything else in this album, but Daddy record label, as we know, has to knock on the door and be like, it's been 5 years.
Play, come on.
Yeah, it's been 5 years. Don't fuck this up. So go slap it that one radio song back. But I mean, I know we don't know how much time we have left, but I think one thing I definitely want to discuss. I know
let's do it.
Yeah, I definitely do want to discuss it. I know you are the production man, and there's probably other things you want to mention, but with this, I think what's so crazy about this album, right, is that it came out in 2019, and then she soon after was in a relationship with Shia LeBeouf, right? And from that, obviously, from the tragedies that she faced from that, she kind of had to become Mary Magdalene herself, which is fucked up because the whole story of Mary Magdalene being like she couldn't tell her own story, and it's been told for her, and then that's literally what happened with this situation that she was in with this relationship where she had to. And the thing is, I'm not saying I know FKA Twigs, but she's definitely not the type to go on Gayle King for sure. Like, that is not happening. Do you know what I mean? It's really weird. So it's like, the fact she has to go on Gayle King and kind of tell her story, I think it's like, damn, like, that's literally what you did a year. Like, it's almost like, not that she saw it coming, but it's like, that's just so weird that how, like, everything you're speaking about on the album kind of also came to be in a sense. Well, I don't know, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. That she's gone out there and decided to set the record straight. Because the whole album was kind of written right between 2016 and maybe 2018. And then a lot of 2019, I think, was like maybe more production and mastering from what I understood. And obviously she broke up with Robin Patterson in 2018 and she was with Shia LaBeouf until I think mid 2019, which is interesting because obviously a lot of the songs can kind of relate to him as well. which is something to think about. But yeah, you're right. Like the timing of that coming out in the news, and us kind of talking about it, seeing how she kind of faced all of this abuse at the hands of a man, and if she doesn't say anything, then the narrative out there will be that he's a fine guy and they had a relationship that didn't work out. And she's obviously there to kind of like own the story and take the burden upon herself to put it out there, when it shouldn't really have to be that she has to relive this trauma by telling everyone about it. It should just be that, I don't know, that he's found out, right, prosecuted, and the kind of like that chapter can kind of like proverbially close for her. And then, I mean, obviously whatever his response was shit and inadequate as expected. But yeah, and there's another parallel right this week with International Women's Day and with, I'll let you introduce it because I know you're very keen to talk about it.
Oh, what? So I don't know why you just say it, but yeah, the whole Meghan Markle and Prince. I don't know if he's a prince anymore, but yeah, Prince Harry kind of thing as well. Like it's a similar theme where, and it's so weird because it really does feel like we planned this episode, but we didn't. And I feel like me saying it more, it doesn't make it any more convincing. But yeah, it's just weird that how, like, with International Women's Day, with FKA Twigs kind of coming out of her interview a couple of weeks ago, and again, we see another case of it where it's like, history is going to say that Meghan Markle was this. And it's like, I think she knew this is the direction it was going to be. Like, if she let this go, in 200 years time, they're going to be like, Meghan Markle was this. And she's like, oh, I've got to take control of that narrative. I've got to kind of say the truth. Actually, I was this. And yeah, it's just a shame that it's something that women still have to do in 2020. Else, I think we're still quite a long way away from, like, it's like, it's for some reason, it's like a woman's word isn't final.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's just, yeah. And I think this album kind of, just because we are a music podcast, but I think this album does cover a lot of that, where it's like, it's just I don't want to say empowerment, but like kind of accepting both sides of the coin. It's like, okay, yeah, like I said before, and it's not like Meghan Markle was like, yeah, fuck the royal family or anything like that. It wasn't like that. It was just kind of like things happen between us, but it's like I'm still not who they said I was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
And I think. Yeah, and I think with FKA Twigs, and again, speaking about this like whole rebuilding and like starting again, we've seen it, with both Meghan Markle and FKA Twigs as well, like having to kind of reinstate who they are in a sense. So obviously coming out of this long process, I mean, especially Meghan Markle, in terms of like, she probably has to become a whole new person after this.
Yeah,
she literally has, right? And it's just crazy how uncanny all these kind of themes tie in together.
Yeah. The whole thing of like, obviously Magdalene and FKA Twigs of, like probably in the time, I don't know, maybe in the time of Mary Magdalene, and especially now, like things have not changed in 2000 years. Like the word like prostitute or whore, hoe, whatever, like that's such a invalidating word. Like we talked about it right at the beginning, but like calling someone that just like invalidates them. And like a similar thing of Meghan Markle was called, like, she was the mastermind, like the cunning, like manipulative is the word. Like she was manipulating Harry into doing such and such thing. And she was, a bully, bossy or like rude and things like that. People don't like to hear that women are like that. So then obviously that just like is such a horrible characterization of someone, because it's so hard to come back from that in today's society, which is why, obviously she and Harry had to do that interview. But yeah, crazy coincidences, but also cool because it makes the album so much more relevant again.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people should definitely look back at some of these things. Like, she's probably listened to it herself, because it's probably reliving. I mean, I don't know what happened between her and Robert Pattinson, but it does seem like a lot of the things she was talking about, just tied to exactly what all the things that she's discussing now. So it's just, it's just crazy how relevant it is, like right now. Yeah, for sure. I'm
going to ask you, going back just specifically to the album, a couple of like general questions. So obviously, like Magdalene is the concept, right? You said there's kind of issues for you in terms of like structuring of songs, maybe the listing. Do you feel like the theme carried through enough to be a concept album, as it kind of is?
Oh, I don't think it did, and I think that's the gripe I have with
Okay.
it. I think there are songs that are clear connections to the Mary Magdalene storyline, and I think there's songs that FKA Twigs can be abstract, but I think abstract doesn't mean you can get away with not explaining yourself, right? So I think there's definitely there's definitely songs where she could have maybe been a bit more explicit in terms of tying that thing together. Like, for example, stuff like Mary Magdalene, obviously the title track, it's a very clear one.
Yeah.
Home with You is a very clear song that ties into this. But then if I look at Fallen Alien, if I look at Holy Terrain, I like these songs. I really like these songs, but it's like, okay, but how's this tying to Mary? And again, I think if she did the whole thing of splitting the album into two parts and looking at both sides of, being a healer, but also being a point of seduction, because FKA Twigs is all about seduction as well. I think that would have proved to be a much stronger message for me. I think that's what my gripe was.
I think I partly agree with you. I think there are definitely a lot of subtle links and references that perhaps aren't they're not explicit. Like even in Cellophane, I didn't mention it, but like that phrase of like, I did it for you. Where they're like watching her inside this like cellophane wrapper, they're watching and hoping she's going to fail. Like the amount of people, like the Pope and people since, that just like kind of dragged Mary Magdalene's name through the mud, even though it seems like she was just a follower of Jesus and a healer and like an intelligent. People thought she was quite wealthy as well at the time, and people just kind of invalidated and wanted to see this female from the Bible dragged for whatever reason, right? So I think there are a lot of references in there that you can draw, but I do agree there are a couple of songs here and there where you're like, I would like a little reference.
Yeah.
I would like a, But I think overall, looking at the album, it works. I think the comparison is great.
No, for sure. I think even the album cover as well, you can see like it's like this like paper mache version of FKA. I mean, she's always loved her
some
weird
kind of like
covers, right?
Grecian sculpture, right? Like
you
could kind of imagine her along with all the other stolen artifacts in the British Museum. Anyway, just get some politics in there. But yeah, I guess in terms of like genre, where would you, if you had to try and place this album, where would you put it?
For sure, more pop. I think it's definitely not as R&B leaning as LP1, if at all, really. Like so yeah, I'll say it's more of like a. Oh, that's the thing. What would you put Sophie in? It's that type of thing. Like, it's not. It's like alternative pop.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think some comparisons people have made of like Kate Bush and also like Björk. I don't know if you listen to some of her music. Yeah. Like she's definitely on the pop spectrum, but like way off to the side. Like you kind of think of Björk just on her own, kind of like, oh, that's just Björk. That's her music. So I think she is trying to like maybe create a little genre of her own. But yeah, more pop, I would agree. Yeah. Even with all the electronic production.
Yeah, it's like a crossover for like electronic alternative pop, that type of thing. But yeah, I think it's definitely a departure from R&B. I know that for sure, which is a shame, but it is what it is. It's not a bad departure. Yeah, it's what it is.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, I don't know. I think like in terms of not just production, but like vocals and stuff. Do you feel like you said you thought this album lyrics were much more important? Did you kind of take issue with like the simplicity of them? Because although they were kind of more at the forefront, I think a lot of the songs were very like keyed back in terms of like what she was saying. Like it was a lot of just repetitive phrases. Some of them, I mean, probably less than 100 words in the entire song. A couple of them.
Okay, so I'm saying it's relative to LP1, right? I'm not against it. I think given the sound that she's on as well, and this is not a diss, but it's just not as interesting as LP1. And I think if the trade-off is, clearer lyrics and more easy to digest lyrics, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. So I don't think it's a gripe. I think it's just something I noticed. Like, oh, okay, like she's not trying to be as cryptic. She's just kind of saying it more straight off. That's all. Like, for example, songs like 2 weeks and Pendulum.
Mm.
That's going to take a bit to that kind of, you know, break down compared to, you know, songs like Mirrored Heart and Fallen Alien.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just a trade-off. That's all.
Mm. Yeah, I'd agree.
Oh, sorry.
But let's, you know, I love a bit of production. Let's spend a couple minutes talking about the producers. So, yeah, a bit of for electronic fans, I guess, a bit of an all-star cast probably. So you had like Kashmir Cat, who he worked on a few tracks actually for Nas's album Nazir.
Okay.
I mean, not the critics' favorite, but he worked on
not
that.
Bad. It's not bad.
Yeah. He had an album in 2017 called 9, which featured like Kalani, Ty Dolla $ign, The Weeknd. Then there's like Nicholas Jar, who I mentioned. I think we talked about him a little bit. I think he's like, his dad is Chilean. His dad's like a famous Chilean sculptor artist people might have heard of. He's done a lot of electronic music. I think he released 2 studio albums last year. Benny Blanco, people know probably from producing songs on Ye. He's worked with Ed Sheeran, Maroon 5, Skrillex, obviously, like big EDM producer. Noah Goldstein as well, produced Black Skinhead, Ultralight Beam, New Slaves. So yeah, like real all-star cast on this album. And I like how a lot of them kind of work together on some of these songs as well. But yeah, you can definitely see like the way that all these songs kind of like build up. We keep talking about like splintered lyrics or like crazy static noise and like just electronic really.
Yeah, I feel like the closers on a lot of these albums are very like, I don't know. I mean, it's very layered in terms of production. Like, there's large parts of some of these like hours where like nothing's just been said. It's just like, you just see like a huge just kind of shift, or like voices coming in and out, or the beats trying to change. And so yeah, I'm not surprised there's a lot of people working on it. I wonder why she put so much effort into that. It'd be interesting to kind of figure that out instead of like kind of being more intentional about the times where she's speaking. It seems like there's a clear distinction from when she is speaking, it's stripped back, but when she isn't, it gets a bit funky. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think on some of these songs we've said a few times, but like the build up is just immense. Like the like slow crescendo. She and the producers have just perfected. Mary Magdalene title track being probably the best example of that.
Sure, and Home With You as well.
Home With You, yeah, incredible. I would love to see her live because artistry, like the wushu and the pole dancing, and her like she's just a very like athletic person.
I mean, I don't know if she's performed this. Yeah, has she?
She went on a tour
in 2020.
Or at the end of 2019, she went on a tour, I think.
Oh, okay, probably end of 2019.
And she was, I think she performed one of the songs on, was it a Jimmy Fallon show? Where she was on a couple of like American chat shows where she was wearing that like Victorian dress. Yeah. On the piano. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to see her perform. Quite the artist.
I mean, where do you think she's gonna go? I mean, she said she has an album ready. In a short interview that she did last year, said that she's probably has an album ready to come out this year. So, are you looking forward to?
I'm excited. Yeah, I don't know what to expect because she could keep going left, or she could. It got such a positive reception as well that emboldens artists, doesn't it? If you're becoming more experimental and people love it.
More experimental. I think she's become less experimental.
No, but in terms of moving away from the genre in which she kind of like defined herself.
Oh right, yeah. Okay, fair.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see where it goes. What kind of expectations do you have in terms of like sound?
I think it'll be more of this. I think it was going to be more, especially given current events as well. Which is not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. I think it's just for selfish reasons. I'd love like an LP2. Like, that'll just do a lot for me. But I do think because of the mass, because in between, I think a lot of people discovered her in between LP1 and Magdalene. And I think maybe, you know how people are like, when an underground artist becomes like kind of mainstream, it's like, oh my gosh, the album that I'm on the train with everyone else on, that's my favorite because, I'm experiencing it with everyone else. Similar to Jasmine Sullivan. But I think with Magdalene, I think there's so much like widespread acclaim with it. I think I wouldn't be surprised if she just does more of the same.
Mm.
To be fair, which it's not bad. But yeah,
I'm,
that's what I'm
I'm
expecting.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, always looking forward to FKA Twigs dropping. To be fair,
Always.
yeah.
But yeah, that's all we have to say on that. Check it out. I mean, incredible. Just so everyone knows, we are the Vinyl Collective. Top A you have this album, right?
Yeah,
on vinyl. Yeah. I'm going to be ordering it pretty soon as well. I've got my vinyl player in the post. As Carr said, I love to quote it. What was it? I live this shit. I'm not that creative. We do enjoy vinyls. We love it.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. It's funny because I actually don't
getting
have
into it anyway.
Vinyl.
You don't?
I actually don't. So I do need to get that.
Could be the next purchase.
Yeah, I need to get a couple because, like I said, that Rina Sawayama just came back in stock, and I need to get that. So I think I'll probably get an LP one. FKA Twigs hasn't missed yet, to be honest. So I mean, if you've heard of her and you haven't really tuned into her, definitely give her a listen. It might take some time, especially if you don't listen to music like that. But I'll definitely give it a shot, man.
For sure. But yeah, as we do every week, we kind of remind you we've got all of our playlists on Spotify. So obviously we mentioned we've got our Spotlight series, which you can find on Spotify, Apple Music. We've got our Song of the Day every day on Instagram. We'll post a different song that one of us is listening to. We've got that on a playlist. And obviously, the title track, the cherry on the cake is our Now and Then playlist, where we pick a song from the last kind of 12 months, 2 years, and then a song which is a bit of a throwback. I'll start us off.
Okay, cool.
My throwback song is I'll Be by Foxy Brown and Jay-Z.
Okay. Damn.
Mm-hmm. Good song.
What got you in that mood? Gosh. Random.
I think I was compiling a 50 rap song playlist. And I was like, I want to get all the different like eras and voices in there. So it's like I want to get a bit of like Missy Elliott, a bit of Doom, a bit of Jay-Z, a bit of this and that. My Now song is Wizkid, Damian Marley, Blessed.
Have I not put
Have
that
you
down
not?
already?
Don't tell me you put that already.
I'm gonna check it. You can just search the playlist. I'm gonna call you out on that.
Yikes. Damn, top 8 is right.
Yeah, so see John's not looking up to date, but
boy.
go for another Wizkid song. Go on. You got another one in the tank?
I don't know if I do. From that album.
Give us another Now song then.
Okay, another Now song. Let's go. I want to take a song off. It's within the last 2 years. A song off African Giant by Burna Boy.
Okay, keep it African. Go on.
I'm gonna go for Anybody.
Okay, cool.
I really enjoy that song. Learned a bit of history listening to that album too. Didn't really know about the history of the company Unilever, which apparently was like linked to like colonialism in Nigeria, and they kind of like changed their name into Unilever, and they kind of been involved in like the sale of the country between colonies. Mad.
Damn, and I got to look that up for many reasons. Damn. Shit, my Now song. Oof. Quite a few songs I can go for, but I'm gonna go for. I've listened to a lot of music in the past week, but I'm gonna
Humble
go for.
brag.
No, I'm gonna go for Tidal Wave by Tom Misch and Yusuf Dave. That's my Now song.
Love to see it.
That's a good one. And then my Den. Oof. I think my Ven song is gonna be. What have I liked as of recent? Say my Den song. See, you can tell, guys, I just do this on the cuff. I don't give a fuck. My Den song will be. I'm gonna say it's gotta be 50 Cent. 50 Cent Heat.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Heat.
Yeah.
Banger. So that's it from me really. And if you want more Vinyl Collective shit, check us out on Instagram, Vinyl Collective Pod, Twitter, TBC Pod. You already know the deal. Follow us on Spotify. Hit that subscribe button. button, London accent pouring through. But on Apple Music, subscribe as well. You can do the same shit there. YouTube, if you listen on YouTube, one of those guys who's just like staring at the screen, you can do that. You can subscribe there as well. But yeah, I mean, that's really it from us, isn't it?
That's us, yeah. Another album review in the bag.
Yeah, another damn near 2 hour episode. I told you, John, we can't escape it, man. I can't escape it. It is what it is. But yeah, cool. See you guys next week.